It is time to make the sound to summon the stream. Greetings, dear viewers. I'm Quill Quickheart, and welcome back to the RPG Maker Community Project. If you are new here, I have been building a game in RPG Maker MZ for more than a year, integrating as many ideas and suggestions from chatters, commentators, and viewers as is reasonably possible. Anybody is welcome to contribute to the project. All you need to do is come by the live streams and leave some ideas, drop them in the comments, or you can always check the link in the description for the community Discord and stop by there and leave suggestions as well. I'm always happy to do things. Noob, we had our mimics. They were back in Act 2. We had a specific room dedicated to it in a fight with mimics. It has already been done. See? We had mimics. It was a good fight. Anyway, today we are going to be doing some early map design for the third act of the game. Do it again. Okay. Let's see, where's a nice basic chest? Here we go. Okay. We'll put that here. Oh man, I do not remember the precise sequence of events that I used for this one. Okay. Let's copy this entire event. I told you I will say add mimic in every stream. That seems like a waste of both of our times, but okay. Okay, so we'll do this when self-switch A is on. Adjust this to self-switch B, where there is nothing. So we interact with it. We don't need that page. We don't need that page. So where are we? We're designing the mimic that you just begged me to put in. You haven't given me time to do anything else yet. Okay. So you interact with this, you turn on the self-switch. You remove all of that. Then the mimic starts flapping around, and at that point, if you interact with it, it goes into a battle with, just a new event, which if you clear Okay, that should be a mimic fight right there. But we can go ahead and crank up its difficulty more. And crank up its okay. Can we get another color for it? Yes. We can go with the blue color. So we can go with kind of a bluish mimic. And then we create the troop event for it. Okay. We put this here. And we are going to call this the obvious mimic. Been a while. Last I remember, Hydra fight was finished. Yeah. It'd be great if we were able to, you know, work on explaining where we are, or what we're doing, why we're doing it. Alright, so this should work. Alright, so there is the obvious mimic. And we interact with it again. Okay. Make it drop something special. I can do that. Okay. That works. I want to crank up its defenses even more. We are going to have it drop a special item, item number 59, which we will design shortly. And it will use Mimic Maw more regularly. And the Mimic Maw is a stun. Which we are going to make last longer. Make it drop a note that says, "How did you fall for this?" Hello, Abe. Welcome. I actually have a similar idea to that. We are going to have it drop... the dunce flower. It is not consumable. It cannot be sold. It does not have any use. It can never be used. It is a key item. And a special flower for people unaware enough to stumble into very obvious mimics. Quill, can you do something like Wonder Guard? Easily. It's not hard at all to make something like that. Alright. Let's give the very obvious Mimic one last test. Fire Breath. How much can a Lucky Slash hit for these days? Holy crap, that's a lot. Ice Storm. Okay. You find a Dunce Flower. And Dunce Flower. A special flower given for people unaware enough to stumble into very obvious mimics. Okay, there we go. That reminds me, did I ever finish the tome to cover everything up to and including the False Hydra? Yes, I did. Not bad. I love my bestiary. Bestiary is a very interesting... Okay, we've got... Crap. Going to have to make some fixes to some of my bestiary images. Pictures, let's see here. Can we actually open these in the gallery? Okay, apparently not. Then I'm just going to have to check each of these one by one. The False Hydra had something that was showing at the top of its thing. Here we go. Thank you. That one's fine. Rock is fine. Zoltar is fine. Living Flame is fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Mimic is fine. Tortured Soul is fine. Withered Head. Frost Head. Flame Head. It really just seems to be the Hydra where I screwed up. Which, on the one hand, is a really good thing. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So that has been fixed. An enemy idea, cola-themed, a clown called Cookie Cola. A gardener NPC that can take the flower and give you some money, maybe in some other village. Yeah, eventually we'll figure out something like that. Why won't Beldam stay in the ball? Because the Metagross line has famously low catch rates. Okay. Anyway, with that out of the way, we can put our first Batfolk NPC into the game. That chest wasn't there yesterday, it is very obviously a mimic. Be careful. Okay. Next thing, we need an event for when we first enter the village. So the player is going to have to step on this tile. So we'll just put a blocking tile here. I don't think the player is able to get around this way. No, they still are. Okay. Then I need to block... I need to block their path. That should make it impossible for the player to get back here. And that should be fine. You already can't get back here. So it's fine if we place a couple of those. Okay. So the player has to step here. That is a known fact. So we are going to have a bat folk guard. Okay. So you step onto this spot when you're first entering the village. So below characters, event touch. So the first thing that happens, there are so many events on this map. Batfolk 2 turns left. Batfolk 2 gets an exclamation icon. Batfolk 2 gets a message. They approach. Congratulations on catching Beldam. So they are here. Players here. 1, 2. So they move over 2 spaces. Batfolk 2 moves over left and left. And... we don't want any outsiders here. And then... they're going to notice that Ryu is there. So another exclamation. I missed 4 RPG Maker stream. Is element rate weakness... yes. Yes, it is. Wait, is that a dragon? And at that point, they'll just be like... you know what? You can come on in. Just please don't cause any trouble. And then we add a quick self switch in order to make sure that this event only happens once. Where in the world did you find a tame dragon? So to catch you up, noob, the false Hydra was defeated. I can actually recap it. I can actually show you a bit. All right. Okay. So the false Hydra was defeated. The city of Wallachia has been saved. Mr. Bones has given you access to a boat. After defeating the Hydra, you found an ominous soda bottle. And it's a scary, ominous soda bottle that has Coke written on it. So we want to investigate that. So we want to go to Pepsi Land, which is on another continent. So we have a boat now, and the boat you can get on and off at docks, which are all very clearly labeled with a circle. We designed the exterior of the map that is going to be filled with NPCs representing the various people who have contributed to this project in some way. There's not really much here right now, but more will be added. But basically, our next destination is this swampy, marshy area. So we're going to start here in a Batfolk village. We're going to go to this mountain. We're going to cross a swamp. We're going to go through cave. We're going to head to a Catfolk village to get our next party member. So I want to work today on some of the stuff in the village like I have been doing, and start work on some of the general map design for the first mountain area. Hey, who are you? We don't want any outsiders here. Wait, is that a dragon? Yes, noob, you will be added as a contributor. Unless you don't want to be, then yes, you will get added. You know what? You can come on in. Just please don't cause any trouble. This is the very obvious mimic. For this town in the Catfolk village, I wanted to do something with my city construction that I hadn't done before, where it basically has interior, like, basically it has roofs that disappear as you walk into the buildings. So I was able to get that done. So we've actually got all the buildings in the Batfolk village, their roofs just disappear when you walk into them, which was not as difficult to design as I thought it would be. There's probably an easier way to do it than I did, but it works, and that's good enough for me. So that is... that's where we are at with the project at this point. And then last time I was able to design a hook shot, which I can show off real quick. Our contributors, people who made sprites and such, or people who suggested. Basically, anybody who has suggested ideas for the project is counted as a contributor. Or just anybody who's been around and chatting, even if they didn't. Just people who have been around are going to be contributors. Right. Whoops. But last stream was the really impressive one because I was able to actually design a hook shot, which we are going to be using for the maps in this area of the game. And honestly, it looks really damn good. It's not perfect, but I think it looks great. Look how smooth that is. So that's a mechanic. Yes, we did design your crowbar weapon last time, the Cole's crowbar. Remember what I said about mixing the Dragon Cores and becoming the Draconic Overlord? Vaguely. The thing about a project like this is that inevitably almost everybody shows up with an idea for, like, the big, huge twist at the end of the game. Like, the big, final, ultimate thing. And we're probably well over another year before we reach anything endgame. So while I still take those suggestions and I try to integrate as many of them as possible when we get to that, people who are suggesting super late game stuff are not going to see the fruits of that for months. And probably a year or more. You wrote it down, I think. Yeah, I've got a whole pile of notes. But anyway, let's actually start working on our first... Well, actually, first, the village itself needs a battle back. So I'm sure we've got one for a mountain. I'm sure something works for, like, a mountain. Well, this one's just for the village, so it's a bit easier. That looks basic enough. So if we can have, like, a swampy ground... that would probably work. This might work. Ground 1 looks promising. It's probably what we'll go with, is just ground 1 for this area. Okay. Now let's actually get started on our mountain. I need a name for the mountain. Also for this one, I think I will focus on height over width. We can play some wind sound effects. Not graffiti. Okay. Okay, that works. cliff. Cliff works. Okay. Yeah, I think that works. And now we need a music for it. Huh. Sure. So this is Mount Grapihi. Okay. I helped flesh out Katasby. He isn't just a drug junkie anymore, but the aftermath of an affair between the two villages, and for some reason they both want custody. Might as well get married so they can both have custody. Mount Krapihi, that's where you get the hook shot. Help, I just had the Christ image of the text, "The enemy got high," appear in my brain. Okay. So... we want to be able to climb the mountain, but getting back down the mountain should be very quickly done with the use of the grappling hook. I don't want to do too much with caves here, since we just had an entire act of the game that was underground. So I do kind of want to give the player, like, open exteriors for a while. So let's say you enter here, you sort of go up the mountain. You go around a little bit, up and down. You climb up higher. It sort of switches back and forth a little. There's another, like, loop. We've reached the highest level of the mountain. And we climb down, and then ultimately this leads to an area where you can hook shot back to the beginning, letting you shortcut out of the entire thing. So I think this is going to be the general shape of what we are doing here. So let's stretch out the path a little bit. There we go. Make it a little bit wider in places. The straight vertical sections can remain straight. There we go. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. And up like that. Remember, you still have the Ryu flipping you off sprite. That is true. I do still have that. Okay. So then this is going to be like a wide open space. Alright, so here is the rough shape of the mountain. Why? I stopped asking why people contribute specific things to this project a while ago. It just really didn't seem to make much sense. Okay. Trying to have consistent scaling throughout all of this. It's not the easiest thing to do. But I will try my best. Okay, just like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. So this whole area... Okay. Just fill up all the empty negative space. Just like that. Okay. Not trying to create a masterpiece here. I just want to create something that is going to be functional. Okay. Just like that. Like that. Okay. Things Aubreyans, Deltarines, pets within pets. Things newborn, mimic things I want. Drugs, crowbars, slimes of Coca-Cola, gas. Things that I want. A game which is actually a cohesive, playable experience. Things I am never going to get. Games which are a cohesive, playable experience. Okay, we're going to put a chasm here. Whoops. Okay. Put that there. Put this here. Okay. Okay. How do I fix this? I fix it like that. Okay. Okay. I think this works for the basic shape of the mountain path. No more mimics. You got your mimic. Okay. So now we are going to add some stairs in different places just to contribute to that sense of increasing verticality. Okay. Carnivores, plant mimics that live on mountains pretending... No more mimics today. Okay, let's go like that. Okay. So we have stairs that go up. The more people pester me for the same thing over and over and over, the less likely I am to do it. So the hookshot locations will be here and here. So I need... basically a full tile decoration. This might work. We could use these as the targets and just have them be very consistent. Okay. So, how many pieces are we going to need? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, we're going to copy this. Boop, boop, boop. So, this is going to be H1. This is going to be H2. This is going to be H3. And this is going to be H4. Okay. Make a couple more changes. Like that. Okay. I think that looks respectable. So let's take this hook shot. So if the hook shot has been obtained, then it gathers the followers, hook shot on, set event location, how the actual fuck does this thing work? Okay, so it's 121, 311, 411. Okay. So it's H1, H2, H1. Let's actually be smarter about this and actually leave comments. Order. H1, H2, H1. Let's actually delete that, and we're just going to make our comments here. Okay. Order. 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 2, 1, 1. Order. 3, 1, 1. Order. 3, 1, 1. Quill, will there be a boss mini-boss here? Yes. Order 411. Order 411. H2. H3. H4, H1, okay. That all works. Okay, hookshot piece order follows from point of activation to target in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4. Can the boss be a croissant? No. Make the boss a golem. You're going to be fighting up a drugged-up cat boy here. A mountain golem will be so good. We've got a cave coming up shortly. A golem would be absolutely ideal for this cave. Or potentially we could have some kind of a golem protecting the Pepsi headquarters. Okay. So the order is 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 2. 1, 1. I don't know why this is how it has been created. But we are just going to trust that all of my testing was with a purpose. Which I think is a reasonable assumption. So this is 3. One. And 1. And then this is order 4, 1, 1. So that's 4. That's 3. And this is 1. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Should be about the same. Okay. So this should be H2. This should be H3. This should be H4. This should be H1. Okay. So, we're going to have a cat person here, and they're going to be like, here, have a hook shot. This is all just placeholder. Hook shot obtained. Overworld. Transfer to mountain. Alright, let's go see how this looks. A contrarian is someone who spends their time and effort insisting differently than what the people around them are insisting, regardless of whether or not they actually believe it. They simply have an impulse to do this. Oh, or it's a Pokemon ability. Okay. Is that a demon? It is a bat folk. Okay, well, I would like to point out that that hook shot is absolutely smooth. But it shouldn't be functioning yet. Because I didn't change the switch to activate when you actually have the hook shot. You know dragons can fly. And who can't fly are the other 4 members of the team. Oh god. Okay, so this is going to be... Oh, this is going to be different. Okay. So we gather the followers. So we move H1 here facing left. Then we move H2 here facing left. Then we move H1 here facing left. And then finally we have H1 move left. And that should be an H2. Okay. Then we have H3 move here facing left. Then we have H1 move here facing left. And then we have H1 move left. Okay. So at this point, H1 was here and has moved left. H1 has made a left move from 1620. So we don't need the entire 411 section. But the player moves left. Wait 5 frames. We reset H2. The player moves left. We reset H3. Move left, move left. Player, move left. And then we alter the event location for H1. Gather. Okay, I might have it working both directions now. Let's take a look. Okay, so this should do nothing. That does nothing. This should do nothing. It does nothing. Here, have a hook shot. That works. My dear viewers, we now have templates for left and right facing hook shots. That is absolutely smooth. Okay, that is perfect. Next thing I want to do is adjust the border of the entire mountain just so we have less space to have to decorate. Okay. Good. And we go over here, and there, 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 And there. Okay. There we go. If we do it like this, then it's just going to leave less space that I have to actually like finish decorating, which is just going to be a lot simpler for me. Okay. And now we make the outsides transparent. And we add a parallax. We'll just put some trees there. Yeah, we pretty much have to do that, huh? No, not really a fan of that. We'll just have sections of a mountain that continue to go up. That's fine. We'll have another section here. And yeah, that's just gonna work better. I think trying to balance all of these things is an act in futility in regards to the Pokemon stuff, honestly. Pokemon Champions will come out. It'll figure out the balancing for us. So we already know that these things are going to enter a multiplayer competitive environment which is curated. We don't really need to worry about being the ones to figure out how to make it all work. At this point, all I really need to do is adjust and decorate the terrain. And then, of course, come up with, like, enemy lists and whatnot. So, you go through the whole thing. You have a fight. You get the hook shot. You're able to hook shot leave. And then you take off. And that's the dungeon. And then, once you have the hook shot you can start traversing the swamps. Okay. So let's adjust the overworld entry. Put the entry point right here. Put an exit point here. Overworld can just go here, facing left. Okay, that works. Okay, I guess that sort of fits. How does it look with this? Okay, that looks like an appropriate rocky, sort of rough batch of terrain. Okay. So we're going to add some mossy sections along the path. Just kind of like that. They don't really need to be all that interesting. We're just gonna have a very basic kind of general decoration for this map. It's really not going to be something that's like super well done, if I'm being honest. Okay, that is fine. Let's add some trees. Okay. So we're going to add some trees all over the upper ledges. Just like that. Okay. Just like that. Trees are important, but we don't want to ever put any trees on the bottom row because they just don't look very good there. Okay. that is fine. That's fine. That's fine. Quill, when you said Megastarmy is referencing an old sci-fi movie with the same aliens, did I mean Warning from Space? I actually didn't. I was not aware of Warning from Space. I knew of it from other Japanese cult sci-fi that I have stumbled across in limited capacity. Okay. That works. And now on the top layer, we can place various decorations. So let's see. A few places with rocks at the base of the cliffs. Okay, that is fine. Next. That's a little too much. We can place a handful. Yes, Cole, I also watched the Lockstin and Noggin video. The thing about Pokemon designs is that people like to argue about what a design is or isn't referencing. But that's wrong. Most Pokemon designs reference multiple things. Some of the more complex designs can reference a dozen or more different inspirations. There's no point arguing over which ones specifically they are or are not referencing. It's just not helpful. Okay, we're just gonna pass some of these. I believe that is either the fourth or fifth time you have mentioned Barbaracle since the stream began. Which I don't say as a judgmental statement. It's merely one of those things that my brain is passively tracking in the background while I keep my focus. Okay. I'm not actively counting, but I'm frequently passively keeping track of things around me. Okay. A couple important changes need to be made. Most notably, we need to get rid of that. Okay, everybody, I want you to all actually lock in, pay attention for a minute, and tell me what you think about this design, okay? We are evaluating the structure of the map design. Okay, I need to get rid of these spots on the stairs. But aside from the scuff bits covering the stairs, I actually really like the design here. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. I really, really like these designs. The last thing I can do is add a few craggly bits. Do we let you walk across craggly bits? Yes, okay, craggly bits are walkable. That's good. We don't need a lot of craggly bits, but it does add just a little bit more texture to the ground. Feels like it's missing something. I think it's because the walls are completely bland. And I am going to decorate the walls up a little bit. Just to kind of break up the motion of the eye as it goes through. Okay. So let's add a series of cracks throughout the walls. If I put the craggly bits on the walls, unfortunately that means that you can walk on the walls, which has been a problem I have frequently come across. And if I make the craggly bits unwalkable, then we'll have to delete all the craggly bits from the path. Okay, that is some good craggly bits. And then we will have places of wall that touch the grass. Yeah, this looks better. Just to break up the walls a little bit. Unfortunately, no. Okay, those are not climbable. That's good. Put craggly bits on the walls that are out of reach. I could do that. That is true. We can put craggly bits on the high spots on walls. Just kind of like that. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Okay. So, unfortunately, you can still walk down onto any craggly bit. Well, the one I showed off isn't reachable. Gotta replace that one. I don't think there's any spot where the Craggly's bits are, like, actually reachable. So that's fine. We do want to make one change there. And then we really do need to... There we go. Limit that space there. Okay. I think that's a finished map. I like it. I like that a lot. I don't have any trees on this central bit, though. So let's put some trees there. Just like that. Mountain's supposed to have snow. I've already done a snowy mountain earlier in the project. Yeah, we had an entire snowy mountain. This is less of like a proper mountain and more of like just a jungle hill. Ooh, but I'm seeing what I did here with the texturing on little sub-areas. I really like the aesthetic of that. So let's add a few spots of that throughout the mountain. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Oh, that immediately looks better, I think. As a Nepalese, all our mountains have snow. As someone from Colorado, we've got plenty of snowy mountains, but also grassy foothills. Yeah, think of it less as a mountain and more just as just like a hill, like a particularly profound like cropping of rock. Um, it doesn't quite look good behind them though. There we go. Okay. Alright, that should be a completely finished map now. Okay. Yeah, that adds a little bit more texture to it. I really like this design. I think this looks really good. Or at least, I think it looks as good as my current abilities allow. Without spending like another 3 hours on it. And then once you have the hook shot, you're able to get out of the map immediately. Woo! Woo! And then once you have the hook shot, you'll be able to visit this swamp here, which will get you access to the Pepsi area. We'll have a side dungeon here. You'll also need it to get through this cave. Okay. That's pretty good. And honestly, I think that's all I have the capacity for this morning. I'm pretty tired. Haven't gotten a great amount of sleep in the last couple days. I really need to rest. I've already accomplished more today than I actually thought I would be able to. So yeah, I think that's going to be it. Thanks everybody for coming. This was really fun. Put me in a much better mood. It always puts me in a good mood to sit down and to do these community game maker streams. They're so much fun, and I'm so glad that you can all be here for them. Thank you all so much for that. You can be here again next week. The next RPG Maker stream, as always, will be Sunday morning. On Saturday next week, the second game of the Nuzlocke Marathon will begin with Pokemon Soul Silver. I'm actually really excited for that. I think it should be a blast. Yeah, the current daily series, there's Silk Song, Peggle Knights, Tactics Ogre Reborn, which I'm finally getting finished up. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna go lay down. Thank you all so much for being here. I will see you all in the next one, and it is time to make the sound to summon the end of the stream. Wow, 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 wow.